Today we will discuss about the safety settings in equestrian facilities. In general, the analysis and definition of a risk involves great difficulty, in particular in a horse farm, due to the presence of horses both present in a permanent building and in unknown environments such as sports or show events. However, the primary safety rules should always know all and how to put in effect in every phase of any equestrian activity. Therefore, it's very important to check out the construction characteristics of the wool stable, such as the dimension of stalls, doors, and so on, and to maintain in perfect condition of use all kinds of plants and machines. In general, the concept of a risk is used for the assessment of the safety level for any human work activity. In particular, a cutback of a specific risk within horse farming is obtainable through the using of a safety system and seeing the correct respect of correct construction parameters and the development of a worker's formation and information to reduce both the probability and the impact of any kind of risk inside the farm. The performance of the various equestrian facilities is related to the following source of risk: physical contact between the man and the horse, biological risk followed by chemical, electrical, and mechanical ones. Our risks are related with the housing condition and in the performance of working activity on walkers and treadmills, and last but not least, during the grooming operation. The first source of risk is strictly related with the horse behavior that is intrinsically and instinctively aimed at the search for pleasure or to avoid pain and suffering. In fact, the horse stress state is a good safety parameter that it's possible to detect by the increased blood levels of cortisol, for example. The main source of physical risk are related with kicking, beating, and crushing with limbs or body of a horse. If there is a reading falls from the horse, backing, reading, running off. For this reason, it is important to use some preventive measures. For example, the use of a helmet, shoe, or boots with the reinforced tips, and train the personnel on how to properly use this equipment and how to conduct the safety procedures. Other risk is the biological one. There is talk of a biological risk to human health in relation to exposure to organism and pathogenic microorganisms or not, animals and the human and the parasites which may be present in the workspace. According to the Italian Decree Law 1 of 2008, the biological agent is any organism, ecto and endoparasites of animal or human origin being capable of causing infection, allergy or poisoning. And these agents are classified into specific classes according to the degree of the danger. This type of risk doesn't necessarily provide for a close and ongoing relationship with animals. In fact, the main source of biological risk are zones and endoparasites, dust with allergenic effects, fungi, horse dander, dust mites, eye and saliva, drops and debris from plants, feedings, mainly grains. So it's very important to adopt the PPE, preventive personal equipment. Other risks are related with the housing condition. In fact, all animals must be kept in proper housing condition, which must adopt the following rules. Minimal surface sized by the height of the weather, well-designed and dry stalls, abundant and always clean beddings, clean and unslippery floors. For the external area, in particular in the paddock, the rest area must be clean, dry and soft for long times. In stables, for horses in herd, the lower ranking animals must be able to avoid the dust of higher rank. Horses kept permanently outdoors of the barn should have a protected shelter from wind, rainfall and so on. Also, it's important to build a soil non-slippery, and shelters must be easily accessible, spacious, and well constructed. Other risks are related with activity on walkers and trade mice. In fact, grooms must put attention on the use of these devices. In fact, before the starting, the grooms would be aware that the device is in standby phase, and one inside reassure the horse and take off the halter, but using a progressive speed of this device. Also, it's important to carefully evaluate the inclusion of another horse and leave alone the horse only after careful analysis of its behavior. Other risks are related with the performance of grooming operation. This terms regards all the operation of cleaning and teething of a horse performed in everyday life. During grooming operation, a worker must monitor the general condition of the horse through an inspection of the body, use calm and reassuring voice. This operation always takes place in safety areas, never inside the box, and make a horse perceive the presence of man and his intention, and use non-abrupt movements and have patience and pay attention to horse mood are some rules to adopt. Expected results are related to the analysis of the procedure to encode and teach management habits for every worker in order to protect their life and safety during the contact with the horse, and at the same time assure to the stable good operating condition and productivity. But in Italy there aren't specific law or reference about the minimum horse stall dimensions and safety of workers in equestrian context. So we saw to determine two sides, the stalls based on the height at the wither of the horse, and to formulate a specific forming and informing course for equestrian employees on the likely risks which could generate traumatic events or occupational diseases. For the constructive point of view, we suggest to design the stall surface with a simple formula where the surface is equal to 4 times the power of hg, where hg is the horse height at the wither, and with this formula is possible to size the railing space depending on the breed. In table are showed some breeds of horse in function of the height at the wither, and for the second row in left it's possible to see that for small breeds, for example for Farabella, Sheltered Pony and Timor, with the niter varying from 80 to 110 centimeter. The stall minimal surface is near 5 square meter, and there is the possibility to define the stall minimal surface also for mare with foal and for stallion, accounting and increasing of the dimension about 40%. Also are present other measure recommended. For example, the stall recommended width for the same breeds are 2 meters, for a minimum roof height 220 centimeters, and so on. While for breeds more high, for example for breeds more high with the with a height of the wither about 175 to 2 meters, the stall minimal surface is about 16 square meters. With, for example, another dimension is the surface of external paddock, about 32 square meters. Other dimensional settings are related with the no-square stalls, where the minimum width of the front of the stall can be defined with the simple formula where the width is equal to 1.8 of the height at the width. For indoor and outdoor pathway, the width are respectively varied between 2-3 meter and 4-5 meter, while for the minimum sailing height inside the barn, it is 2 times the height at the width. While for other type of stalls, for example, for mares and foals and stallion swans, these surfaces are defined in the same way, but more, but with an increasing factor that account the presence inside the barn of animal more bigger. While for interior features of stall and accessory, for example for walls, must be closed from the bottom to knee in height equal to 1.5 meter and the height at the width. For doors, the optimal dimension are 1.5 meter for height, for a width, and a height about 2.5 meter with an outside opening or top rail scrolling system. For the windows, it is very important to define the arrangement and the number based on the ventilating and the highlighting ratio must be at least 1 at that. The position, the optimal one, should be commensurate with the size of the horse at the withers. In this case, it is recommended to take as a reference the height of the lower shelf of the front door, with the height from the ground about 1.5–2 meter, and a width of at least 1 meter. For drinking through and feeders must be positioned with respect to the ground in relation to the height at the wither of the horse, according with another simple formula that provided the height is 0.7 the height at the wither of the horse. The next step is to assess the safety level in equestrian farm that is very common in Italy as a questionnaire that we have proposed about some information. For example, the access and internal roads of the breeding facility, the type and the number of doors, pathways, staircase, both fixed and mobile platform inside the farm, system of lights, presence of straw stocks, garage, warehouse for dangerous substance, type and constructive settings of roofs, tanks, vertical and horizontal silos. Also are very important some other info about electrical system, boiler room, fuel storage if present above ground. Other items very important to know are the presence of a fire prevention plan and the general level of air and noise pollution related directly with the biological contamination inside the barn, and last but not least, the handling of manual tools. Finally, after this preliminary security evaluation, a forming and informing course for grooms must be regarded the morphology and anatomy notions, feedings, management of stalls and beddings, horse grooming operation, how to implement some therapies and medication notions, the management of harness and tank, how to send and unsend from the horse and handling the horse from the ground and during the transport operation, the correct use of tractors and other machines, and other notion about the fire and the first aid management. Conclusion is that a working activity based on safety of structures, plans and procedures and on the application of rules of prevention surely brings to the assessment of operators involved, which will be able to operate in greater serenity conditions. Thank you.